We've had a very wild and anxiety-inducing week this week. The 2020 election will surely be one that sticks in our mind for years to come. But finally, we have our new president-elect, Joe Biden. Now, after the longest week in existence, we must ask ourselves the most important question: what do the gays think? You are cute.
Thank you.
Oh, look, you drinking. What are you drinking to?
It's just a Smirnoff Ice.
Oh, you're so cute.
I'm drinking to the potentially good president we might have.
Potentially.
Oh yeah, I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket. Not yet, at least.
Can you put your eggs in my basket?
I can put something in it.
Can
it's
I?
Not eggs.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
Seed.
I'm recording.
Great.
Just wanted to make sure you did.
Quick question: Have you been working out?
Not recently. Look, election week was too much for me, okay? I was like, right. I couldn't do anything except the election.
Right. No, because I was for a while, and then I fell right off, and now I'm back to being skeletal.
Well, we can pick up next week. How about that?
Oh, thank God.
I just couldn't do this week because I was like, this is too much for me. Anyway, speaking of the election, hello, everyone.
Oh, hello. Welcome.
Welcome to our next lovely special edition of What Do the Gays Think, our post-election special. How you doing, Pat?
Great.
Great?
There's an air of anxiety that has been lifted, for sure.
Yes, definitely.
And there was a lot of like nice videos of people cheering and all other crap. So I was excited.
Yes. Yesterday was a good day. I was in a good mood yesterday for at least a little while.
And then it all went to shit.
And then I reflected back on what happened during the election, and I was like, well, it could have been better, but I'll take it.
Right. I mean, that's what I say about my boyfriend all the time.
What?
Could have been better, but I will take it.
Could have been better, but I'll take it. Oh, just like in general about your boyfriend? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Before we move on to the actual election, though, I need to... there were so many posts that I know you've seen where it's just like, now the election is over. We must have a moment for empathy to like care for those of the Republican people who voted for Trump, to like extend a hand out.
Right, sure.
And care for them or some nonsense like that. And I saw all these posts and I saw people making fun of them. And I'm just like, no. I've said this before, that if you voted for Trump the first time, I gave you a pass. Because maybe you didn't know. But if you voted for him a second time, and now you're like, all those videos of Trump people like screaming or crying or devastated. If you're that person, you're devastated. No, there is no empathy.
No sympathy.
No sympathy, no empathy. You voted for a man who proved to be like a pseudo-fascist, if not complete fascist, racist, sexist, xenophobic, transphobic. Just
spill the tea, spill it.
You decided to vote for him again, or if you were a new voter, decided to vote for him now. Like, there's no empathy here.
No empathy.
I don't have time for that. Like, I'm not gonna come for you and attack you. But I'm not going to sit here and waste my time empathizing with you.
No, I'm not going to sit here and be like, okay, now we have to come together and compromise.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, all right, we do need to do that. All right, let's not mince words. We do need to compromise now that we are moving on from this.
Yeah.
But I do not want to hear anything about Trumpism anymore. I don't want to hear anything about make America great again. I don't want to hear any of that bullshit that we just went through for the last 4 years. I don't want to hear build the wall. I don't want to hear build the wall. I don't want to hear Joe Biden is like conspiring with China and Ukraine anymore. Like, I don't want to hear any of this bullshit anymore.
It's a wrap. That's what it is.
Yeah. And all these people that are like, oh, you have to be nice to us. And I'm like, you weren't nice to us in 2016 when Trump won, so why should we be nice to you?
I have seen so many flags, shirts that just was like make liberals cry again, or like Trump 2020 fuck your feelings. Like, oh, but all of a sudden, like we now have to be this like I don't know, kind and courteous, extending my hand out to you to pick you up off the ground because the guy that you voted for, who was a schmuck, lost.
Your cult leader has to step down
Yeah,
now.
I'm sorry that you realized that, you are in a position of power, and now that there's someone else, you feel threatened by it. But like, chill out, all right? Chill out.
Oh my god, I love it. All right, let's talk about the actual election. Let's move on from our opinionated views. That was very opinionated.
Right.
Yes, drink and get drunk for this.
It's a Smirnoff Ice. It is not getting me drunk.
Oh well, I don't know, Mr. Lightweight. Anyway,
it's for flavor. It's flavored water with a little bit of carbonation. That's all it is.
Okay, I don't care about your carbonation. Let's talk about the election. I want to go through like kind of like each day and how it progressed and how kind of analyze what happened and kind of get a sense of is there just generally what happened during that election. What do people know? What do people need to know about what happened? And is there any merit to any of Trump's legal claims about voter fraud, etc.? So like let's walk through a little bit what happened. So on the first night, first election night after all the polls were starting to close on Tuesday. I don't know how closely you were watching everything, but I was watching everything pretty closely.
In the first night, no. In the first night, I didn't watch because I knew, that there was going to be no clear winner by the first night. So I kind of just was like, I'll check in like a day or two.
Right. I was watching in particular for Florida because I knew that, a lot of the polls were saying that Florida might go blue this year. And that's a separate topic about why the polls were very wrong this year. But anyway, so a lot of the polls were saying Florida could go blue. And being that Florida had committed to counting all of their ballots by election day or by election night, we knew that we would get the results on election night. So I was watching Florida pretty closely because if Florida did go blue, the election was pretty much over. Like there was very few avenues Trump could take to win if he didn't pick up Florida. So I was watching that pretty closely. And then as soon as the results started coming in, I was watching the New York Times needles, which were basically these percentage chance gauges that the New York Times had about which way the states were going to go. And they had like 3 swing states up there. It was Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. And then suddenly as all the results started coming in, all those needles went to Trump like very, very quickly. Yeah. And I was like, oh no, this is 2016 again. All the polls are wrong. Everyone's voting for Trump. What is happening?
Yes. I knew people really wanted Florida. Well, everyone wanted Florida to go blue that I cared about. But I knew people thought it might happen, but I was like, in what world? in what reality? Like I know Trump has done his darndest to really ostracize himself from the voters and make everyone not like him. But there's still that core demographic that liked him. And a lot of them, I can imagine live in Florida. I can think of the person in my head, what they look like, what they do every night before they go to bed, what channels they watch for their news. And I'm sure they all voted for him in Florida.
What they do before they go to bed? What do you mean?
They watch Fox News and then they get into their separate beds.
Separate beds.
Yeah.
Because their marriage is falling apart. Yeah.
Yeah. Husband and wife. There's no homosexuals there.
No.
Husband and wife, separate beds, bed by 9, Fox News.
Fox News. Go to sleep watching Fox News.
And they wake up the next morning and, the woman wonders why she's still in this loveless relationship and the man thinks like it's all downhill except for Trump being their one savior.
Oh yeah, their cult leader. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. So I wasn't surprised. But
I thought that Florida could go there.
Why did you think that?
Yeah.
Why are you such an optimist?
The reason, oh my God. So the reason that Biden didn't pick up Florida is because he didn't do well in Miami. And that's because there's a significant Cuban population in Miami who they all went to Trump this year for some reason. And
oh, yes.
I think it's because they were painting the Democratic Party as a socialist party. And Cubans don't like socialism because they came from Cuba.
Really? Really? I can't imagine why that would drum up bad memories.
So that demographic, as well as, the older white demographic, they couldn't counterbalance out, the old white vote enough in Florida.
Right. That makes sense.
So Florida immediately went to Trump, and I was like, well, fuck, this is terrible. This is the worst. This is 2016 again.
I mean, you're crying in your office, just staring at your computer.
Yeah, basically, shaking. I got very anxious actually after I saw Florida immediately go red, and North Carolina was not looking good either, because the polls showed both of those states as Biden leaning. So I was optimistic about, I shouldn't have trusted them. I shouldn't have trusted those two fucking states. They always let me down, always.
I mean, I don't know why anyone did. I'm sitting over here in Florida. In no way will ever go to a Democrat.
But then there was a sliver of light on election night, just a small sliver, because they fixed one of the New York Times needles, the Georgia one, which was showing 80% to Trump. There was a problem, and they fixed it, and then it started leaning Biden. It was 60% or something to Biden. And I was like, oh, Georgia coming in clutch suddenly? Hello? Where'd you come from, BB?
And then all those memes. All the memes.
I'm not going to do it. I'm just thinking about it.
I did it.
Oh, those are my favorite. Yeah, but Georgia coming in clutch out of nowhere. And also Arizona on election night as well. I think Fox News, they either called it on election night or the next day. Fox News and AP also called Arizona. So that was the sliver of light that I had on election night. Okay, maybe something's happening because Arizona flipped and Georgia is leaning Biden. So there's something that could happen there. But it still wasn't looking good because Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania all started out red. Red all the way. But those three, and a lot of people who are following the elections would know this. Those three counted all their in-person election day ballots first.
Yes.
And all the mail-in ballots would have to be counted later. And that's the reason why you saw the red to blue shift in all three of them.
Yeah.
Which was kind of expected. Even Bernie Sanders, a few days ago before the election was like, hey, this might happen. All three of these states might start red. Yep. And then they might slowly shift blue as the days goes, as they process the mail-in ballots. They might suddenly start going blue, and then Trump will say he won, but then he won't actually have won.
It's a red mirage. That's what I heard.
It's a red mirage.
A red mirage that turned into a blue wave. And I think that's beautiful poetry and exactly what I want to happen.
It did happen, but I was hoping for a larger Biden victory than what we got.
Well, yeah. I mean, electorally, it's a big victory. But if you look at the actual percentages within states, it's very slim.
It was a very, very slim victory for Biden. Yeah. I think he won Wisconsin by 0.4% or something like that, or 20,000 votes. And then he won Michigan by, Michigan was 3 percentage points, I think, at the end of the day. Michigan coming in clutch. And then Pennsylvania is also 0.5 percentage points. But all the polls were showing, Wisconsin +8, Michigan +8, Pennsylvania +5 or whatever before Election Day. And that just, I shouldn't have trusted the polls either. I should have known after 2016. I should have been no, I do not trust you. I don't think this is going to happen.
Well, that's a fair assessment. And you should have stuck with that. Because I was just sitting there, election night, going, I'm not going to look at it because I already know that I'm not going to like the immediate results of it. And I'll check back in like a day or two. And then I did. And then I spent every following day, probably 8 to 10 times a day, just refreshing my one tab on my phone that was election results and just seeing the numbers increase and change.
Oh my God. I was just watching NBC News for, basically 4 days straight.
Just sitting there, getting all scratchy and itchy, just waiting for the results.
Watching them push those buttons for each state. Like, here are all the counties. I'm like, yes, give me that good data. Fill me with it.
County, yes.
Yes, the county by county data.
And I loved all of the jokes that were like, if you looked at a state, a presumably red state, and you saw the blue counties, those are the only fun places to go visit because those are the major cities. Like if you looked at the Pennsylvania one, you had like Philly, Pittsburgh, Allentown, and maybe like one or two other ones.
Yep.
The rest of the state was red. I don't know about you. That's the only places I want to go anyway.
Yeah, you gotta go to Philly, gotta go to Pittsburgh.
I don't want to. I have cousins that live in other places in Pennsylvania. I don't want to go there.
Don't want to go there. No.
They're living up in the woods. I'd rather just go to Philly, take the transit down there, and then come back.
Because those are the urban centers. And it's like also the people saying when you look at Nevada, and it's like all red counties except for these 2 blue counties.
Yes.
And the 2 blue counties are like Las Vegas and whatever the other county is that I can't remember.
Yeah.
And those are like the best places to go in Nevada. And the rest is just desert.
I know. It's what, cactuses voting out there? Like, there's nothing. There's like 5 people per county just putting in their votes. So obviously,
people living out in that desert.
If you're going to Burning Man in the middle of the desert, I don't even know if it's in Nevada, but it's in the middle of the desert, fine. If you want to go have fun elsewhere, it's Vegas. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, people of Nevada, for shitting on your desert, but
they can't count. It's okay. They can't count.
No, they can. They just count slowly. They just like tied Americans up and just slowly counted in front of them and was like, you want this count so badly, but I'm going to make this last all night. I'm going to make this last all week.
Oh my God. All the Nevada memes. The Nevada memes. Even though we kind of knew Nevada was going to go to Biden because all the remaining ballots like throughout the week were from the Las Vegas area. So we all kind of knew that it was going to be blue, but we were all just like, come on, just do it. Because if they did just do it, then, the election would have been called for Biden a lot earlier, because at that point, at least for Fox News and AP, they called Arizona. So if they added Nevada onto that, Biden would have won with those 2, with Nevada. But Nevada took too long, and PA got called first. So
we got Nevada, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan were like the strange, abnormal states. At least those, maybe not Nevada, but definitely like Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan.
Yeah, it's amazing that the states that took the longest, of course, were the most important states in the election. Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania.
That's how the writers of 2020 keep it interesting. All right, they're running out of ideas. The year is coming to a close. They already did a pandemic. They did, a ton of other shit I can't remember because it's just been too much. And now they're like, we have to round out this year with like a nail-biting plot line. Oh, the election.
The election.
For a week.
What happened to the murder hornet plotline? I missed that plotline.
They found a nest in Washington State and they immediately eradicated it.
Good. Goodbye, murder hornets.
Well, no, they're still around. They're waiting.
Waiting to make their shine at the end of 2020. Now they should.
Once the pandemic dies down, the murder hornets just skyrocket up.
They're all dying due to COVID. So once COVID goes away,
COVID infects murder hornets.
Also, COVID is spiking like extremely right now, and nobody's talking about it.
No one is. It's I think we reached the highest cases per day. What, yesterday, 2 days ago?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It was like what? Oh God, hold on. I'm gonna pull it up because I'm not gonna misinform people.
Pull it up.
Pull it up and pull it out. It is
never pull out.
This on November the 7th. It was 126,000, but that's not the peak. Oh, the peak is like 132,000 on November the 6th.
Oh my God.
Um, that is the daily change of new cases in the United States. Um, Thankfully, though, when you look at the deaths, it's kind of leveling off. It's still high, but at least it's leveling off.
Yeah, and I think that's probably because we know how to handle it a little bit more than we
Yeah.
did way back in March.
From Decipher, corticosteroids, and prayer really gets it
Prayer,
right.
please no.
Please. Yeah, so wow. All
um,
those states wait until the last goddamn minute.
oh my God. Well, we did get we got Wisconsin and Michigan on like day 2, so I can't fault them. Um, but the
Right.
margins there were a lot smaller than they should have been. And I was
Yeah.
really hoping. Okay, here's what I was hoping for. Let me tell you about what I was hoping this
Give
election
me
would have for
your
us.
your overall
I was hoping that we would get a huge blue wave.
Mhm.
And it would be like this complete rebuke of Trumpism and
Yeah.
the divisive rhetoric that Trump, propels throughout the nation. So I was really hoping that, it would be such a decisive victory that the Republican Party would have to change their platform. They would have to change their message and everything to move away from, America first and the Trump rhetoric and all of that. Move away from that, re-engage their platform into something that actually makes sense for 2020. Because I feel like they're still living in the 1980s or some shit. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, um I think a lot of Republicans, not Trump obviously, a lot of current Republicans in the Senate and in the House and even in local governments really need to kind of distance themselves from Trump after the inauguration is finalized, but they're gonna have to.
See, that's the thing for me though, right? Is that
Yeah.
I think that would happen. Like they would distance themselves from Trump if this wasn't such a close election.
Mm.
70 million people, 71 million people still voted for Trump. Like his message and his rhetoric works.
Yeah.
It's just that more people hated him than people liked him.
I mean, it's a good. I mean, objectively, from a how persuasive it is standpoint, it's good rhetoric because it, you know, it makes you feel like he's gonna do everything to make your life as good as possible. And yeah, that sells well. Like he's looking to make he like points directly at you. He's like, your life's gonna be better because all the other people, we're just gonna like get rid of all the other countries in terms of we're not gonna work with them ever again. We're only gonna focus on us. We're gonna make our healthcare the best in the world or in the history of this country at least. We're gonna defeat COVID our way. So yeah, it's like effective
Yeah, and
material.
somehow that messaging works even though, if you don't stand with Trump, then you know that a lot of the stuff he says is not true. And it's not
Yeah.
factual, it's not science-based, but the message somehow still works. Like even though it's coded with lies, it still resonates with the Republican Party. That's why I don't think, it's not a complete and total rebuke of Trumpism. It's still going to be here. Trumpism is going to stay throughout the next 4 years, possibly longer.
Do you want to know one component of it?
Yes, tell me. What's the
I'm
component?
sure you already know. Well, in his voting block, you had the older white people, obviously, and then you spoke to the people in Florida specifically, but a lot of it is uneducated white men, specifically white men that don't have like a college education, that just got a high school degree, and that's it. And it's not really the white part, although that is with nationalism and stuff, but it really is the uneducated part. Like a lot of people just aren't. It's not that they're not smart, it's just that they haven't gotten more input from other sources to become educated in more than just like the classical classroom setting, but educated in other ways.
No, I think a college education is actually pretty important because in college, you kind of learn these problem solving skills, some of these other skills, the ability to research and the ability to do all this other stuff. especially the ability to research. Like, that's very important, because once you start looking into the details of everything, then you start realizing what the fuck is happening. You start realizing that climate change is not a hoax, for example.
Right.
You start realizing that, the top 1% of people own the economy, and that's why the stock market acts along with the top 1%. It doesn't actually act in anyone else's benefit. So, like, you start understanding all of these different things when you have that research ability, that you might get from a college education, which I think is pretty interesting. Plus, I think universities in general lean blue, but...
Well, yeah, because I think you get a repository of a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. And when you have this sort of mixture, this melting pot, as some would say America is, you get a lot of different viewpoints on a variety of topics, which allow you to garner critical thinking skills and how you want to put your point of view towards a topic. And a lot of people miss out on that. A lot of it's because our education system is garbage in terms of the education given in some places, and also the cost of education. So maybe Biden can do something about that. Like, free college would be great right now for these people who need it.
Or debt forgiveness,
Oh, here we go. Okay, you brought it up.
Okay.
You brought it up. So I would like to take a short detour off the election itself and onto the prospects that we have. For Biden-Harris administration. I think my top two biggest things, because you can't champion everything. You have to just pick your battles. So mine are climate change and education/debt reform. Climate change is a huge topic, and so is debt reform. But climate change, I hope he does a lot and moves us towards, whatever, carbon neutral or completely off of carbon, whatever. But the debt thing, I don't want to, because no one has come up with a good answer to this. I liked Elizabeth Warren's and Bernie's idea about it. But when it comes to Biden-Harris, since they're the ones who are going to be running this administration, during the vice presidential debate, Kamala Harris said that they would cut student debt by $10,000. Now,
okay,
I went to a 4-year university, and I didn't get financial aid that was free. It was all loans, so federal and state private loans. $10,000 is a drop in the bucket. So while I appreciate the thought, I hope that they come up with a far better system for it.
$10,000?
$10,000. She said $10,000.
Not $10,000 per year, just $10,000.
She just said, this is because the vice presidential debate is so uninformative, because it's basically the VPs just promoting why the presidents should be the presidents.
Right.
She just said, and this is not verbatim, we're going to cut student debt by $10,000. Now, I was like, okay, she must be talking about an individual basis, not totally, because it's ridiculous. Total. But even on an individual basis, you go to a 4-year college, and most people can't even get a 4-year degree in 4 years now. It's more like 5 or 6. Let's say your tuition is like $20,000 to $25,000 a year.
Right.
So 4 years, you are $100,000 at most paying for. Now, if you're like me, who couldn't get free financial aid and had to get loans either from the federal government or from state private insurance, you have $100,000 in debt, and she wants to get rid of 1/10 of it. That's cool.
That's cool.
I'll take, if you want to cut off money from the top, go right for it. But that's not helpful to people.
No.
Especially new people who want to go to school and get an education, especially now in the economy that we have, with less people working. How are they going to go to school with that much? Because it's a whole big thing.
No, I think it's good to talk about this, because it's the prospect. What is on people's minds, with the Biden-Harris administration? What are people's priorities? I agree with you. I think climate change should be number one priority, probably, saving our fucking planet.
Because if it goes away, all of the problems just stop.
Yep. All the problems, just which is why I want to do an episode of this on climate change, but we'll get into that in a future episode.
Oh my God! Did you just give a spoiler?
Spoiler alert!
A tease, yes, a tease.
And I think I posted something to our group chat today, but it was like Biden saying that he's going to do 4 things when he gets into office by executive order. Yes. 1, he's going to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord. 2, and now I have to remember what the fuck his other things were. 2, it was like lift the ban on Muslim countries, traveling to the U.S. And there was 2 others that I don't remember.
Okay, the other 2 are reverse withdrawal from WHO, the World Health Organization.
Yes.
And then reinstate DACA.
Yes, all very important things.
All good things. I love it. I love all of
them. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, good. Like that's what I want out of a Biden administration.
We need decisive action immediately when he gets in, because the Senate ain't looking too good right now.
Yes.
Georgia, if Georgia could turn it out again, we could be very good. But we have to really.
So let's talk about the Senate too, because this is another thing that I want to talk about.
Yes.
We pulled it out in the presidential election, right? Just narrowly, but we pulled it out, and Biden is going to be our next president. But we didn't pull it out in the Senate, and we did pick up a few seats. We picked up Arizona, and we picked up Michigan. Not Michigan, sorry. Michigan we already had. Colorado. Those were the 2 that we picked up. But we lost Alabama because we did have one Democrat in Alabama, and we lost that one, Doug Jones.
Oh, rip. Just rest in peace.
So it was a net +1, and they already had 52 on the GOP side.
Right.
So I think we needed to flip at least 3 in order to get to a 50-50 split. So since we only did net 1, that means there's 2 more that we need to get in order to get Senate majority. So the last hope is those 2 Georgia runoff elections that are going to happen in January. And I get it. Georgia came through on the presidential level, but will they come through again?
I'm optimistic now just because of how many people voted in the state for this in the presidential election. I am optimistic, especially because a lot of people turned it out for that vote, given it's now in a runoff. So it's competitive. I think there is a chance that both of them do win. There's also a chance that both of them lose. So oh God. Oh, please, God, please let this happen. I would wow, if you started 2021 with just across the board Democratic just control, whew. Roll and smoke me. I am done.
Oh my God. Yeah, so those 2 elections, one of them I'm pretty optimistic about. And that's the one between Warnock and Loeffler. Raphael Warnock being Democrat. And that's because, he did get a lot of votes in this election. Even though it was between a lot of people, they ended up splitting the Republican vote between Loeffler and somebody else. But I'm pretty optimistic about that one because it's a black guy and he might be able to turn out the black vote in Atlanta and around that area. Who are probably responsible for the reason why Biden's going to take Georgia. I'm just going to say, yes. Probably the reason is because of the black community in Atlanta and around the Atlanta area. But the other Senate election with David Perdue, he's been the senator there for a little bit, and he has name recognition. So the regular conservative base will probably be more likely to vote for David Perdue than they are for the other candidate, Loeffler. Okay. So there's some optimism there. I don't know if both of them might go. I'm optimistic about one of them, but.
So if we get one of them, is it 50-50 in the Senate or is it 51-49?
It'd be 51-49, which means Mitch McConnell would hold the Senate majority.
That turtle looking.
And that's another thing I want to talk about too, because Biden is saying that he is going to be able to reach across the aisle with the Senate and work with them to push stuff through the Senate. Now, we know that when Mitch McConnell took the Senate and the Republicans took the Senate in 2014, they blocked everything that Obama tried to do, every single thing. And they blocked all of his judges that he wanted to put through, and he blocked, the Supreme Court judge as well. So what's the difference between now and then that we suddenly think that Republican and Mitch McConnell controlled Senate will work with the Biden administration? I don't think that there is prospect for that.
I don't either, because either you're going to get the Republicans who are really butthurt about Trump losing, and they just stick with their beliefs. They just hold on to them with their white supremacy hands. There's no let go. Or you're just going to get the other ones who are like, well, I'm still at the end of the day a Republican. You're still at the end of the day a Democrat. So no matter who the president is, it's bipartisan. I don't it's two separate things. I don't even want to deal with you.
Right.
And or it's not bipartisan. It is bipartisan? No, bipartisan. Two parties?
Bipartisan means both parties.
Oh, no, it's not bipartisan. Yeah, it's one or the other.
Right.
They're going to be very staunch.
It's partisan.
Stalwart. Yeah, it's partisan. Yes. And it's just going to be a lot of the same thing. And Mitch McConnell, not only is he turning into a zombie because of his hands, he's just ignorant and evil. I think he might be worse than Trump, because I think Trump is not even intelligent enough to realize how dumb he is. But Mitch McConnell is intelligent, and that makes it worse, because he knows just how evil he is. Trump's just dumb. But Mitch McConnell's vindictive and evil. Just pure, unadulterated, insidious evil.
Oh my God. I can't wait until Mitch McConnell is no longer in the Senate.
Yeah, I can't wait till he retires. In what form that retirement takes, that is up to God to figure out.
That is up to God.
But I can't wait till he's retired.
Oh my God. All right. Let's talk about voter fraud, or the allegations of voter fraud.
Do we have to?
We don't have to, but
Well, we might as well.
Yeah, because I want to get across this point to people that, in general, there's not much there. Because I did look into it. I did want to see if any of these claims that are being made are substantiated in any way. There's not much there.
Shocker.
Most of them are kind of bullshit. So let me explain a couple of things that I've noticed in the conservative community when I just real quick browse the Twitter. I browse some conservative YouTube.
The Twitter? Twitter.
The red Twitter.
Oh yes.
One of the biggest things that I was seeing there is they were claiming that in Michigan, there was this glitch in one county that flipped a whole bunch of Trump votes to Biden by accident. And they were saying it's possible. What happens if that same glitch happened in all the Michigan counties, or what if it happened in Pennsylvania, or all the other states? And I just generally looked into it. I wanted to see what was going on, and I think they found that it was just a human error in that one county. So it's it wasn't really a glitch in the uploading process of the election or how the election results are processed. It was just a human, made an error.
Yeah.
Whoopsie daisies, and they reprocess it, and guess what? Biden still won Michigan by 150,000 votes. So
yeah, voter fraud. Let me think how I feel about it. So I keep seeing tweets, especially from Trump, saying that observers weren't allowed to look or be there. Now, I can't tell if he means one of two things or both things. Having people in the polling places watching, which I'm pretty sure is voter intimidation, and you're not allowed to do it. And then having people observe the counting of the votes, but I'm pretty sure that's a separate group that does that. So no party has any bias, right?
Right. So the people who... I hate these claims. I swear to God. So the people who are claiming that they weren't allowed in to watch the ballot counting process, that's the big thing. They're saying people were turned away. First of all, there are ballot counting watchers that have to pre-register before the election to be there from both parties.
Okay.
So there were people there from both parties watching the ballot counting process. Okay. So, and if people were ever turned away, it's either because they weren't pre-registered or they were at capacity and they couldn't let any more people in.
Fair.
Which, if you remember, there's one video circulating around the conservative internet right now that is one of the Michigan ballot counting places putting up like boards to block people outside from looking. And they were like, oh, that's suspicious. What's going on there? It's because the place was at capacity and they didn't want all the other people distracting them. Right. Because people are out there trying to get in, like demanding that they be allowed entry. So they're going to block them out. Like, these people are trying to do their election stuff. Like, of course, and these people are banging on the window, distracting them. Like, they were at capacity. They couldn't let any more people in.
Yeah.
They were equal people from both parties.
Imagine being a surgeon and there's just people outside of the operating room banging on the door. And you're like, I'm trying to save this man's life. Can we please have a moment?
Oh my God. And just in general as well about mail-in ballots, like both a Democrat and a Republican have to certify each one. So like, how can there be fraud in this ballot counting process when there's someone from both parties there who have to certify that result and say, you know, this one's for Trump and this one's for Biden. And that's just how it is for mail-in / provisional ballots. Like, I don't understand why people keep thinking that there's some sort of voter fraud going on.
You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see a sitcom of ballot counters, and it's just a table with one Republican, one Democrat, and it's this election, and they're in, let's say, Michigan. And then so the Republicans on one side, the Democrats on the other side, and the Republicans just counting Trump votes, and he's like, look at this, my guy's winning.
Here we go.
The Biden person's like, oh shit. And then like 2 days later, they get all the mail-in votes, and the Biden person's just throwing it at him like, here, validate it. And just how awkward it must have been. Just sitting there like, yeah, I don't think your guy's gonna win. I don't know. I keep seeing Biden votes.
And Ayub?
Can NBC sponsor that sitcom? That'd be great.
I'd sponsor it. Can I be in it?
Oh yes, you'll be the Trumper.
But oh my, I'll be the Trumper. No, don't even say that. Don't say that. You're gonna make me cry. Okay. But yeah, so I don't understand these allegations of voter fraud, and also the people who are saying like, oh, we're seeing like these big ballot drops in the middle of the night that are all Biden, and it's like, well, of course, one, they're all mail-in ballots, and two, like Trump told all of his supporters not to vote mail-in ballots. So, of course, most of the mail-in ballots are going to be Democrats because Trump told you not to do it, and all the Democrats did it.
Listen, you're asking them to solve 2 + 2, and they're saying 5, all right? And you just can't understand why. That's what's happening here.
Oh, my God. Oh. The one thing that they have, right, the one thing that might go to the Supreme Court, from what I've seen so far, is the Pennsylvania ballots that were postmarked by Election Day but arrived after Election Day. There's a Supreme Court case. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court said that they could arrive up to 3 days after the election if they're postmarked by Election Day, which I think the Trump campaign tried to appeal, and it might go up to the Supreme Court. Problem is that that's not going to change the election because Biden won with all the Election Day ballots and the mail-in ballots from pre-Election Day. Ooh. So even if those ballots post-Election Day get thrown out, Biden's still going to win because he won with all the pre-Election Day ones.
Right, and those ballots, I'm sure, are mostly Biden's anyway.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're probably all going to be Biden's. Yeah, but also, it's such a small amount of ballots as well that arrived after Election Day. So I'm just like, it's not going to change the result anyway. Biden's up by what? 20,000? I forget the number in Pennsylvania. But it's not going to be enough because he already won with those pre-Election Day ballots.
Yeah, I was texting my family group chat, and my grandmother was like, there was some funny business in Pennsylvania in these 2 cities, and I was like, I don't think it's gonna matter. I don't even think it's gonna get to the Supreme Court, and if it does, I don't think it's gonna matter. I think it'll be fine.
But also, like, what funny business was going on? Like,
I don't know. I wasn't gonna engage. Please, who's not engaging?
So I have this fact check article. It's hang on, let me pull it up. It's literally called Trump's Wild Baseless Claims of Illegal Voting.
Perfect title. Succinct. Tells you exactly what you need to know.
So yeah, it goes through all the Trump allegations state by state and everything that they're saying, and it fact checks them. So I read through some of this, and it's like all of these claims are so ridiculous.
I mean, did you expect anything of merit to show up?
I was trying to be nonpartisan in trying to see like if there was any actual substantive claims anywhere.
Right.
And just from reading through this, it doesn't seem like there is anything very substantive. Like in Philadelphia, they were live streaming the ballot counting process.
Like, for all to see.
Literally, and it's like they were live streaming it. So like, how can you think that there's funny business going on? Just look at the tapes, read the manuals, read the books.
They should have streamed it to Philadelphia's OnlyFans, and then just had a sub for like $5 to sub to watch it. They would have made so much money.
Oh my god! Hello, Philadelphia's OnlyFans.
My only ballots. Come watch
only
my only
ballots.
I'll just count them nice and slow for you.
Oh my god! Hello. Oh my god. So let me see what else is in this fact check article that I thought was interesting. Georgia. Trump made several unfounded, baseless, and spacious claims about alleged election counting issues in Georgia, where Biden pulled ahead in a small lead. Let me see. Are we seeing any widespread fraud? Are we seeing anything that makes us question? Someone says we are not seeing any widespread irregularities.
Yeah, I didn't think they would.
It's just that all these areas, it's like, oh, this seems suspicious. Like all these ballot drops for Biden. And it's like, well, yes, because they're mail-in ballots. They're going to... Oh my god, this conservative internet just playing into this narrative that Trump wants them to play into.
We've hit the wall, the logic wall.
The logic wall.
Where you can no longer explain a topic because there is some point where there's just a difference in an understanding of the reality you live in.
Right.
And that's the wall. So this is where it ends. Obviously, those were dropped off because they were mailed in and they weren't election day ballots.
Right.
And everyone who has a sense of one brain cell, one working brain cell, can reason, oh, that makes sense. But anyone on the other side of that logic wall is very just not in it. Like just not in touch with what reality is and can't make that deductive leap.
Yeah, it's like I've been saying this for a couple months, like ever since we started this podcast. Like if you see something on the internet, research it. Look it up. Yeah. Is it true? Is it is it fake news being spread?
Yes.
All you have to do is look it up and be like, is this true? And, if there is something substantive, which I wasn't able to find, like I literally Googled like, is there valid claims of voter fraud going on right now? And I didn't find anything. All you have to do is do that. And, most of the time when you do your own research, then you find the answers that you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of garbage in the way, obviously. Like, you're going to have to sort through it. But the more you do it, the better your sorting skills get. Like if you find yourself on Breitbart, you've made a mistake.
You went to the wrong place. Nope.
You're like Harry Potter saying diagonally instead of diagonally. You end up on Breitbart and you're like, how did I get here?
How did I get here?
So if you end up there, yeah, you've made a mistake. But the more you do this and the more sources you check, because truth is valid, it's true, whatever the truth is, but it also comes from a collective of things. So if whatever society agrees is the collective truth becomes what it is. Mm-hmm. So if a lot of news sources are saying this isn't voter fraud, you can say with some assurance that, okay, this isn't voter fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to take in as many sources as possible, weigh them, and then look at their biases and make an educated decision, which I know is hard for some people.
It's so hard for some people.
Yeah, it has to be done.
And the last bit that I saw from the conservative media was everyone saying like, oh, all these dead people are voting. And that one is just baseless. Like there is very few instances of a person's ballot getting in and it's like an actual dead person. Very few instances that won't change the result of the election at all.
I'm voting from beyond the grave.
Oh, same.
Oh yeah, 100. When I die, it's just gonna be. I'm gonna write it in. Danny Phantom myself into
vote
existence.
after vote after vote every election year.
Every election, yeah. They're like, oh, he's still going. He's like 150 by now, but he's still voting. Look at him doing his civic duty every 4 years.
Last thing I wanted to... What?
Go for it. Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Let me talk.
Nope, I'm leaving. This is fun.
Come back. No, okay, so last thing I wanted to talk about was the Stop the Count protesters.
Right.
Now, please tell me how this makes any sense. Why are people saying stop the count? It's like, all these Republicans just love to, they revel in the Constitution. They're like, look at this thing. It gives me my right to own a gun. Look at this thing. Like, it says this specific thing. They revel in the Constitution. Yeah. But then they're like, but no, democracy, bad. Stop counting. Yeah. Like, you're protesting democracy. How do you revel in the Constitution but protest the entire foundation of our society?
I don't know. Because, like, they're lathering themselves in the Constitution. They're weaving it into blankets. They're burrowing themselves. They're rolling joints with the paper. Like, they're all over it. Like, someone says, the Bill of Rights, and they're like, oh, die.
Bill of Rights.
But, yeah, I mean, I was like, why would you want to stop the count? Because, like, wouldn't you want all the Trump votes to be counted to ensure that he did win? Because he's saying he won by huge margins, even though he didn't.
He didn't.
And secondly, yeah, like, everyone knows counting happens far after the election day itself. It's always been like this. Always. Yeah, maybe back in the day when we had 12 people living in a state, you could get through it in one night. But we don't live like that anymore. There are millions of people out there wiling out, throwing out, just voting everywhere. So it's going to take a while. So
we've always counted ballots after election day. Whoever said that we don't, like, whoever says that we always get the results on election night is wrong. Like, news networks will project a winner usually on election night, as long as you're not in a COVID year like we are in right now. Right. Or there's not any state that's so close that it requires, like, a recount, like, for example, the 2000 election, where the difference in Florida was like 500 votes or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was the election decider. Usually, news networks can project the winner on election night, but the counting still continues even after election night, regardless of if the news networks project it or not. So, especially now that we've had all these mail-in ballots for this particular election, it makes sense that we had to wait a few days to get a projection in some of these states.
Yeah. Look, like, right now we have our president-elect and vice president-elect. It's still technically not over. I think there's, like, 2 states still technically counting.
Yeah.
And who knows what Trump's stupid ass litigation will do. I don't know if that's going to make its way out to the Supreme Court and what they're going to do about it. But, like, we're still out here. And it's November 8th? 8th?
Yep.
It's November 8th, and we're still out here counting votes. It's just what it is. But we have a projected winner. He has a majority. Let's just let all the votes get counted. It's most likely, like, gonna be Biden. I don't care what happens, really. I'm sure it's gonna be Biden, and let him just have a peaceful transition of power, because that is what the problem is.
Not gonna happen.
That's the next step. The voting, I think, is decided. The next step is, how do we move from one president to another when this current president is the way he is?
Right. And who knows?
Who
knows?
I don't think it's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's wrap up, because we're reaching our capacity here.
And we can't let any other ballot watchers.
Can't let any other ballot watchers in. So, final thoughts. How are you feeling? Like,
I'm like happy that he's gone, but I'm not satisfied with where we're at until we actually see some policy stuff. Until we actually see details of all their plans, I'm not satisfied. But I'm at least happy it's over.
Right.
How about you?
I am happy that Biden won. I'm happy that we're going to see Orange ejected because he was sus for 4 years. But I also agree that I'm not particularly happy with the Senate outcome. I'm disappointed that, there's still a chance. Okay, there is still a chance in the 2 Georgia races, but I'm disappointed that we didn't perform better in the Senate. And just a general kind of feeling about, yes, Biden is going to be president, and that's going to be a good thing in general. But, like, he wasn't the candidate that I wanted. Like, yeah. I actually liked Elizabeth Warren back during the primaries the most, I think. I also like Bernie Sanders, but I think I liked Elizabeth Warren a little bit more. But, neither of those candidates got through. We went for our lovely corporate-friendly Biden, who's a moderate. So, yeah, I'm glad to see... I'm definitely glad to see Trump getting out. But where we're going in the next 4 years, we'll have to see, if I'm still happy with it.
Yeah.
And plus, we still have another, 2 or so months of Trump being president. So, like...
It's just going to tear down everything. Just going to dissolve the entire country.
Yeah, like, what is it? Do we think he's going to just, like, take a shit in the bucket and hand it off? Like, here you go.
Oh, yeah. He's just going to he's going to dissolve the United States of America. It's not going to be a country anymore. It's going to be individual states. And he's going to become king of Florida.
King of Florida.
That's it. That's what happens.
King of Texas and Florida,
Yes.
Oh, God, I wish that Texas went blue this year, too. But then also wasn't that close there.
No, I mean, I told you. I was like, as long as Pennsylvania goes blue, for me, I'm satisfied. Obviously, I would have loved it if more states went blue, but, we got Pennsylvania, and that was, at first, what I considered to be a long shot, so I am happy with that.
Yeah, and I think Georgia's, the big surprise this election, Georgia going blue. I don't think a lot of people really expected that. All right, anyway, let's wrap up here. Thank you, everyone, for watching / listening to this.
Thank you.
This episode of What Do the Gays Think. We're going to pick up on some different topics that are not political related, hopefully, in the upcoming weeks.
Sure we will. Sure.
Maybe. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do some stuff on the Senate runoffs. Who knows? Anyway, let's sign off. I'm Matt Klubeck.
And I'm the ghost of democratic socialism coming to haunt Biden to make sure he actually does something.
Wow. Last time you were the ghost of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oddly, they're very similar. They're like cousins of each other.
All right. We'll talk to you next time.
See you later.